Good evening, Facebook land. This is Mike George coming at you live from The Ohio State University, from in front of the beautiful Thompson Library, one of my favorite spots to sort of loiter around and convince myself that I'm going to be productive this afternoon. Nonetheless, I did get some, well, not one thing, I guess, of value. But, yeah, it's a beautiful night outside here in Columbus. Some crisp air greets us here on Monday, the 2nd of December, 2024 AD. In the non-Oprah universe of ours, we're still stuck in the Donald Trump one. That's okay. The older I get, the clever I get at convincing myself to laugh instead of to cry about it, So, hello. Well, shoot, I guess now with winter upon us, one can't help but notice that, I think this would qualify easily as a special edition of Facebook Live After Dark. Now, according to our conventional definition of Facebook Live After Dark, After Dark is where we usually put away the kids and get out get all the adult treats and, talk about the shit that we don't want the rest of Facebook to know. And so, I don't know. It feels kind of odd to do that at, say, 6 p.m., because, you can put away the kids, but they're still going to fucking peek around the corner and wonder what daddy's doing over there with that bong. So, there's that. So, who are we kidding? Who are we trying to kid here? After all, on this edition of Facebook Live After Dark. Nonetheless, it is after dark in the sense of it being cold out and, wintry and such. Unfortunately, so that kind of goes against the initial instincts of taking clothes off after dark, but... And I did not have any more of that Quebecois blood in me. I'm freezing my ass off at -5 here, and for fuck's sake, that's 25 Fahrenheit for you imperial bastards. So yeah, I can't help but feel like something's happened in me in the time since I've been in Ohio, where I've kind of acclimated to this mediocre mild weather, and so my body has no longer got the gumption of handling those fucking awful winter weather, those winter storms that we used to get up in good old Quebec. But then again, with the way things are going on in this world, with 1,000-year droughts hitting California, followed by a 1,000-year atmospheric river, which that one was I have to admit, I'm a big old meteorology nerd, and I don't remember ever hearing anything about that seems like a new thing. I think that's just a big old... I think my understanding of an atmospheric river is essentially a giant hurricane that's kind of big enough to where it hasn't quite compressed into a nice, neat disc yet spinning around the ocean. So, therefore, we decided to call it an atmospheric river, I guess. I don't know. It seems to me like we just come up with a new term to describe the same old shit, But, everybody loves doing that, which sometimes makes it confusing when you're trying to compare apples and oranges and tangerines, So I like to keep things simple. That's the number one rule I teach you in engineering is, I like to think I've become kind of crafty at taking complicated shit and making sense of it, right? That's what I've done all my life. Not just in the classroom, not just at work, not just in the lab, whatever, but in life, kids. Otherwise known as the School of Hard Knocks. Anyways, let's have enough about me. Let's take a look at the cold and sort of peaceful world around us on the Ohio State University's oval. I love this. I love this sort of sky. Look at that. Gorgeous. Gorgeous evening. I'm so gorgeous that I'm going through the work of freezing my hands off to hold this fucking phone so you lovely people can enjoy it along with me. And another thing you might have noticed as well, for some of the veterans of these broadcasts, is that I don't have Wanda with me. Shoot. And I didn't. I have to admit that was kind of an error on my part. I left Wanda at the Old Oak. Oh god, it's like the equivalent of leaving your kid at the store and forgetting about them and just wandering off to the mall without your kid. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about leaving Wanda at inadvertently in places. But I haven't been as militant in carrying that damn thing around with me all the time, especially with, especially with broken speakers. Both speakers are out of service at this point on poor Wanda. So I'm essentially holding a big, giant, 6-foot-long tiki torch, as the kids call them here. It is comprised of former tiki torches, which are now, the heart of Wanda. Or I should say, really, the spine of Wanda. The heart of Wanda would be the phone, I guess, in a sense. But, or one could argue that's the brain. I don't know what the heart would be. There's nothing circulating around in Wanda, fortunately. Thank goodness. At least that I'm aware of. Unless there's something I haven't been told yet, Wanda. So, unless. Yeah. I always love. God damn, I mean, it's such a wonderful little privilege to walk around this beautiful campus of Ohio State and not be a student and not have a million construction projects going on when I was a student. And so, I get to bask in all the, kind of enjoy the fruits of all the pain in the ass shit that I had to endure when I was in school. Actually, that's another lie. I didn't go to school here at all. I just dated people that did. So that makes me an honor. I think that makes me eligible for an honorary degree. More so than I would say some of the other folks who've received honorary degrees. But I don't know. I can't judge Ohio State's honorary grads, but they tend to give those out kind of flippantly. It seems, at least at McGill. I don't know. Shit. I'm still waiting for our student union to be officially retitled the William Shatner Center. I know they tried. Our student government tried to do that, and well, no, they did it actually because it's owned by the government. It's owned by student government, and that's the nice thing about Canadian schools versus American schools is that the student union is actually owned by the students. And, it's a union, a real union. Go figure. Go figure in the States we don't even have, with our anti-union bullshit here, we can't even, shit, let me not even go into that subject. Let me stay on topic here for fucking once. And I'll just kind of continue on with where we left off, I guess this afternoon, with part one of my bullshit. And so part one, and this afternoon there was a couple I thought some interesting threads that I kind of brought up. Here, let me turn it around there so these poor kids don't think that Obama's watching them. I totally wish. Yeah, so earlier today, there was an assignment that I gave out to you guys. So if you're just now joining us here, unfortunately, you're already fucked because I'm going to give you a big fat kiss and a 0 for not completing the assignment. But if somebody manages to dazzle me a little bit with an answer, then I might think about revising your grade, perhaps if we'll talk later in my office. Fuck, my hands are already fucking hating me, and god damn it, and I already managed to lose one glove, so it's that old game of choosing which hand to sacrifice in this bitter cold. And it's funny, this shouldn't be bitter cold. I mean, it's not, it has to be, it cannot be less than -5, I believe. But it's just enough wind to kind of make it feel miserable. I do remember seeing, the sort of a little bit of disparity between the nominal and the feels like temperature, which does indicate that the wind is actually a significant factor. Also indicating that is my suffering and trying to huddle into a corner of a bus shelter to get away from it. And my runny nose, apparently. Jesus Christ. I haven't been outside for 10 minutes. I'm already looking like a fucking mess here. Even Facebook agreed by interrupting the broadcast. Alright, I think that is a bus of mine. Nope, just kidding. It's one of these damn OSU buses that pretends to be a Coda bus. It's not. Shit. Well, that's alright. Hopefully, it's 6 o'clock. These things are pretty running frequently, I trust. So, I'm just going to wait patiently and bullshit with you guys for a little bit in the meantime. So, let's, oh, goddamn, I am continuing broadcasting on Facebook. Thank you very much. So, anyways, earlier this afternoon, what did we talk about? We talked about copyright Karen, which led us into the topic of, let me do an audit on my wandering stream of consciousness from before. We'll do what I call a topic audit, where I have to roll back the tape. Usually I have to do this for my scatterbrain friends, the Adderall folks, and this has become a habit of mine to constantly give these little reminders, for myself too. I'm not trying to. Wait, I am at a bus stop, right? Oh my God, that would be funny if I was not. Okay, that one. Okay, that was not my bus, but it did just sort of whiz by me, like, without even giving a fuck about who was in the shelter potentially waiting for it. And funny I say that because, oh my lord, I gotta share with you guys, and here I am on a tangent. ADD alert. That's what I do. Goddamn, I have to do ADD alerts on like half. Never mind. That's another topic. ADD alert. I just ADD alert on myself for the topic of ADD alerts. Aha. That was a ADD Inception game we had there for a second. Nonetheless, you know what? No, I'm not gonna. We are gonna fucking stay on topic here. There is a topic, believe it or not, and that topic was I had two of them. So the first one was about sci-fi and about how it's interesting, like, you know, as a sci-fi person myself, and how many, I don't know if we have Doug and Carson. Hi guys. See, I haven't had the shit. I gotta do more of these Facebook Live broadcasts at like normal people hours of the day. You know, like, yeah, because I've been kind of, you know, as I review my old greatest hits collection and kind of, you know, pick out the winners and losers among the hopelessly long stack of bullshit that comprises my Facebook Live library. Yeah, I mean, shoot. Now I just lost my train of thought, speaking of the subject of ADD and shit like that, and brains wandering off into the void. So I guess I'll take this opportunity of me just having a brain fart to let you guys talk a little bit, right? Come on. We have Jacob. Hi, Jacob. I see you guys down there. Don't try to hide from me. How are you guys doing? How was your guys' Thanksgiving? There we go. Come on. Give me some. I need some feedback a little bit. Come on. I need to be convinced that you guys are real and not just bots that are just skimming my feed on behalf of some HR department or investigative body looking for shit to dig on me. It's funny, like, whenever I get into this conversation with folks, and you know, and I do appreciate, like, the sentiment, obviously, you know, of folks that express concern about my Facebook Live content, you know, especially at this time in particular, since I'm job hunting and such. But, you know, I do, believe it or not, I do actually review this shit most of the time. And, you know, I stand by most of what I say. Now, I will say that I have, you know, it's just kind of interesting. I guess I kind of put myself through some of the more difficult segments, particularly those, you know, during which I might have smoked a lot of weed or went into some manic state, or, you know, you guys, most of you guys, I think, can remember some of those dramatic moments, particularly 2016 and 2020. And I think I'm trying to think if I've had any of those types of things more recently than 2020. I don't think so. I don't remember. Yeah, you know, like the kind of things where, like, I do Facebook Live when I'm either stoned as fuck and in a state of complete mental duress, and or yeah, that's usually the case. I mean, they often get so, you know, it's kind of interesting because, well, I'm resisting another tangent, staying on topic here. Let me pull this wagon back on course here. Back to the topic of sci-fi and how sci-fi has evolved kind of in conjunction with how society has evolved. And I was sort of bringing up before how, you know, I grew up with, you know, things like Star Trek: The Next Generation and Star Wars, and, you know, that was those were kind of the things, I guess, you know, the big sci-fi juggernauts that kind of seemed to dominate, like, at least my own upbringing. And those series tended to be much, you know, in my mind, those series tended to sort of picture humanity as a much more cohesive and united, posse. I don't know, you know, like, for instance, you know, we had a Federation in Star Trek. Things were, you know, we had this portrayal of humanity in the future as sort of this sort of constant, you know, this sort of constant improvement. I have to get on the bus, guys, so stand by here as I schmooze the bus driver here and try to get on here. 1 second. Hello. How are you today? Lovely. Except my hands are freezing, but I already lost one glove. Thank you, man. You know you're a Coda Pro when you can negotiate a moving bus while one of your hands is occupied holding you guys up. So, yay to me for not losing my balance, but also to the driver. The driver's actually pretty good about being a little gingerly on the accelerator when they do see people rummaging around and not in their seats. And kudos to the Dakota driver. I sing nothing but praises for the fine men, women at AL that operate our Dakota buses. I mean, and I genuinely mean that. I don't know if I've ever. I don't know if I've ever had a bad experience with any of the bus drivers here. Like, in fact, like really, in my experience, there's times which they've really gone out of their way for me, and I've made sure to note that in the when I leave. I make sure to try to give them some love and in the form of feedback and shit whenever they have these surveys and stuff. But honest to God, shout out to the drivers of Coda, because man, in my own experience, like shit. Let me just give you an example. Like one time I was going home at night, and I managed to get on like the complete wrong bus. Like, and this is the point where it's like the last bus of the night, and I'm going like the wrong way, and didn't figure that out until I was maybe halfway down the line. And my goodness, I just remember the driver. I'm trying to think of how this happened now. Basically, the driver. I'm pretty sure. What the driver did is he finished like the extent of his line. So he got to the end of this. I think this is like his 8 line. I think I got to the 6 bus instead of the 8 bus. So, because like in the when I was the numbers from far away. Especially when you're tired and stoned and whatever. They looked very similar, and so I managed to get on the wrong bus. Wasn't aware of that until like way down the road, and so what the driver did was, he finished his route, got to the end of the terminus of the far terminus of the line, and then what he did was so it was the last bus, it was the second to last bus, and so he basically after he got to the end of the line, he basically drove me directly from the end of the line straight on through back to downtown. Which along his route, such that I could catch the very last 8 bus, which was the bus I needed to take on time. Like, he was literally like going. He was probably going. I shouldn't see this out loud. I don't want to get in trouble with the safety. There's a safety department, but he was probably cruising down High Street like 45 miles per hour, which for a fucking bus is pretty fucking fast. And I felt like I was on some sort of VIP express bus or something like that. It was phenomenal. I mean, and the fact that the driver did all this, I don't know what he normally would have done if, a typical day, if you just, if they have to turn them go that way anyways to get to the maintenance garage or whatever. But nonetheless, I mean, I appreciate that even now. I mean, that was that happened, I think, about a year ago when I first moved here, and that was one of my first sort of that was one of the first time, my first kind of experiences, like kind of with a bus driver, really going out of their way to make sure I got to where I needed to go. And I hear this all the time, especially on these last buses. As much as I hate the fact that Coda's buses don't run 24 hours, and even though I believe the passage of issue 487 recently, this last election, they will hopefully be at least extending their service to, like they say, into late night hours, like perhaps 2 p.m. But nonetheless, the buses here now, and as of now, they stop running at around 10:30, 11 o'clock. Which is absurd, but whatever. This guy, given that constraint, that the drivers themselves, who obviously don't have control for that, that type of that's above their pay grade. Nonetheless, they really went out of their way to help me and make sure I wasn't like just stranded out from nowhere. Which, I truly appreciate that. And as I understand, this is the thing that they do, and I don't know if it's a policy. I know they do everything. They do a really good job of basically making sure people end up stranded in the middle of nowhere. And that's very much appreciated. I think to be honest, when I think about the reasons why a lot of people don't take the bus, like a lot of the apprehension, a lot of the sort of unspoken sort of fears that people tend to have, or anxieties that people have about taking the bus if they've never taken it before, is that type of situation happening. Like, if they get lost or kind of, ending up in some sketchy part of town all by themselves and such. So. I really do, I think some praise deserves to be sung for the fine folks in Coda for kind of going out of their way to, as the old expression, I think as their motto says, move life forward. And experiences like that with Coda. And I've started to, one thing I've started to do, with Coda is, I've been going to, they have these public meetings every now and then to kind of, get our feedback on when are they making announcements regarding route changes and such, or seasonal changes to the route. Here, there's camera guys. Here, there's a view. So we're not having of it. We'll just have a short motion going by. I'm trying to get close to this glare. Now, can't really. Yeah, there we go. Right against the glass there. Not to mention, look at this guy's got the whole. I don't know how this bus is so empty at like 6 o'clock in the evening. But hell, I'm not gonna complain, right? Yeah, but anyways, I had to do a quick shout out. I know that was another tangent, and I didn't. Close to talking about staying focused here. Guilty myself of ADD alert, which I'm surprised nobody in the comments has decided to shout out yet. I don't know. What are you guys up to? You guys are quiet. What do I have to do to get you guys to chirp something up? What do I gotta do? Take some clothes off since it's Facebook after dark, as promised. No. We don't do that in the bus. I'm a classy now. You know that driver ain't gonna put up with that shit. Shoot. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. I'm using these wired headphones. I got myself in a bit of a tangle here. Sort of bad. I have these wired headphones nowadays. After getting used to the wireless. God, I'm like a walking infomercial. I'm like one of those sets of hands. Like whenever they show like the product and they show the other guy's product, they always show some like the user like fumbling around hopelessly, like really over dramatically with dropping things or something. Obviously I know what it is. So in this case, it's me fumbling around with wires in the so-called wireless age. There we go. I think I finally am taking this. Anyways, that was actually exhausting. Anyways, sci-fi. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? So what I was saying is the sci-fi that like Star Trek and such portray humanity as united. That it sort of makes the assumption that over time humanity had learned to kind of slowly get along with each other more and more and more, such that you would have things like a UN government, like an actual UN government with a UN-controlled military and shit like that, like a president of the UN, or the queen of the UN. Like I see that in a lot of portrayals, and then I guess in the more recent stuff, and I'm sort of comparing and contrasting between like Star Trek and say the Expanse, which is a series I got into, and that's on Amazon. If you guys, it's streamed on Amazon, where it portrays, where it kind of shows a more factional, configuration of how society is laid out. You have not only do you have more, in the Expanse, you have two major powers, Earth and Mars, but then you have like sort of all these rebel factions that sort of are, almost like pirates in a way, that kind of dot the other stuff, like the asteroid belts and shit, like all the debris that doesn't sort of, or even some of the minor planets, the minor less inhabitable planets that are kind of seen as wastelands and such. But it does portray humanity as a much more fractured thing, and I kind of wonder how much of that sort of is in tandem with what's going on in today's society. It's sort of this fracturing of our nation, fracturing of our world. Gone are the old days of globalization, like we had in the good old days of the 90s. I mean, where we sort of looked at the economy as one single sort of thing, I guess. And it's becoming much more sort of regionalized, I guess, and maybe even balkanized. I'm trying to think of when it started. Let's say, I want to say like around the pandemic era, and also around the time that Russia invaded Ukraine. You kind of started seeing like people stop buying shit from Russia, so therefore Russia, to try to, in response, started working more with China, and so there's been this development of sort of these regional blocks that are kind of alternative to I guess what is seen as sort of the Western or the West-dominated global model, if you will. And yeah, and that sort of mirrors what I see in a lot of sci-fi nowadays, where humanity is portrayed as much more as more fractured, much less united, much less harmonious than some of those older series. And then you see a lot more. It feels like I see a lot more, and maybe this is just me because I work in the world of like resource management and energy, but I do see a lot more sort of emphasis on sort of scarcity of resources and sort of the impact that it has on society. Vis-a-vis, these various factions fighting each other over what's left of the dwindling resources of our Earth, and we're in space and such. So that's a dynamic that I've noticed in in modern sci-fi that sort of parallels, I think, the vibe of sort of how we feel kind of in this great future of ours in the year 2024 on to 2025. And so, I don't know. Do you guys agree? I mean, I kind of posed my own little hypothesis, my own little theory. I want to get some feedback. What do you guys think? You guys agree with that, or do you guys? Anybody want to add on to that? I know Joshua Allen Snyder Hill down there is a big sci-fi nerd. I've seen some of your some of the shit in your house. That's like shit. Some of the Star Trek memorabilia, I believe. So yeah, chime in, guys. But let me make sure I'm also keeping track of everything too. Wouldn't that be fun if I just, in the process of bullshitting with you guys, I just completely lost track of where the fuck this bus was, and ended up in the exact situation that I described before, with me stranded in the middle of it. What say y'all? This thing working? Am I talking to a bunch of bots again? No, that's grinding. Never mind. That's the area where I talk to a bunch of bots thinking I'm talking to human beings, struggling to distinguish between them. So you guys are either really, really boring humans or you're bots. Unless you talk up now, bitches. Alright. Damn it. Aren't you guys bored without talking? Ow. Let's take this off. Alright, well, I guess nobody watches sci-fi amongst my viewers, so move on to the other sort of dangling question that I posed earlier this afternoon. The homework assignments. Yes, I remember the homework assignment that is due today. The teacher never forgets. She might allow you to think that she forgot, but no. So anyways, the other topic I was talking about was that there ought to be, and this is kind of on the topic of automation, dare I say AI, and all that, autopilots and whatnot, that I think there ought to be 3 cardinal rules for any electronic device out there, or anything with electrons flowing in it, in a circuitous fashion, i.e. electronic thing. Rule number 1 is that there ought to be a clear and sort of unmistakable on or off indicating light. That is on when the device is on and off when the device is off. You think that notion is a very simple, common sense notion, but then you look at the TVs out there, and I swear to God, I see TVs that have that little red light on when the TV's off, and off when the TV's on. Now, somebody care to explain why that is? What the logic behind what jackass developed that logic and why? Any theories on this? That's not a sarcastic question. It's a question. A real question. A real question for which I have an answer. Please. I'll take my clothes off if you guys answer it. Lingering around the bottom of my interface 2, and this is specifically for automated devices, autopilot, and what have you. Well, I think autopilot is the most dramatic example of the need for this rule, is that thou shalt have a off switch if you want to not have autopilot, if you want to manually control whatever you're operating. And I know I had brought up last time, I brought up the movie WALL-E, because I can't help it. I mean, that's sort of the clearest example in my head of the need for such a button. Because literally in that movie, the autopilot goes rogue. And so, gotta get that bitch in check. So, that's why I always have an off button. Shit, now I think about this, I should have that for my partner, perhaps. Just kidding. I don't have a partner, so it's an automatic off switch I've built into the system, hardwired, which makes it no longer a switch. A lonely abyss, if you will.
Next stop, Lion Main, Courthouse.
But I'm not afraid of the darkness. No. I thrive in it. Most of the time. Oh, fuck. I need to get off this bus. Which I just realized I was in the wrong line. It's a very exact way. Still going too good. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. Have a good night. Let's see. There's another example of these bus. Oh, I love these bus drivers because she saw me like even while I was distracted as fuck with you guys, trying to get off the. Man, that was awesome of her because I really thought she was gonna leave, and I was fine with just going one stop down and turning around, whatever. That was really nice there. See, little things like that I notice and I appreciate. And honestly, like that shit happens almost all the time with these CODA drivers, and I love it, you know. And for the bad rap that CODA often gets, and and to be fair, I think this is a more general bad rap that I think most general public transit gets, you know, is I guess is that they don't, is the customer service element of it. And honest to God, if I was to give CODA a rating on customer service, I would give it an A. Because, like I said, I mean, you can't, shit happens. You can't, I don't expect CODA to always be on time 100% of the time, obviously there's a fair, there is a reasonable expectation, you gotta have is maybe perhaps 80%, and, and I'll be satisfied, but see, that's not the factor I'm looking at, at least, solo. I think the more important factor, besides just general reliability and showing up on time and shit like that, is what happens when something does go wrong. Sort of the recourse, the remedy. And by golly, I have to say, shit. I mean, little things like what you just saw, and big things like stepping onto the wrong bus for 30 minutes, and then having the oh shit moment. At the point at which you're like 10 miles plus away from where the fuck you needed to go. So I applaud CODA. Like shit. Yeah, I have nothing but praise for CODA, for the individual, for the drivers and for the fine men and women et al. that comprise it, including the CEO, I will say, because mind you, we had a new CEO come into CODA, and I got to kind of just shake hands with her and shit, like at one of these public meetings that I got to go to, and that I got to go to and play Karen at, and shit. I mean, she was. Shit, I met her, yeah, and I've been involved in Transit Columbus, which is sort of an advocacy organization that kind of drinks the same Kool-Aid that I serve, as far as demanding like modern public transit in our country and city. And anyways, like so throughout my kind of my increasing involvement in Transit Columbus, and and just kind of riding these things every day, I got to meet the CEO of CODA and just shake her hand, and but so anyways, so I got to just meet her. Obviously I'm just a civilian, and like I'm sure she, whatever. It wasn't like a profound conversation or anything, but nonetheless I got to meet her just to learn what she looks like, and then like a few weeks later, I was on the bus around I think around lunchtime, and saw and she was and saw that same woman, the CEO of CODA, like just like riding the bus. And I know it shouldn't be absurd for like, for like the big wigs to ride the bus with us, but like there's something, it kind of reminds me of like how, it was one of the mayors of New York. I think it might have been, it wasn't Michael Bloomberg. I think it was the one, it was the, god damn it, what is his name? It was the one before, the most recent white guy basically that New York had as a mayor. I forget, God damn, I forget his name. I'm just gonna bother the fuck out of me. Fuck. Anyways, maybe you guys can help. Here, there's your audience participation. Help me think of that guy's name, the old mayor of New York. The one after Michael Bloomberg, but before Eric Adams. Oh, God, that's gonna bother me. I cannot think of the man's name. Because that's something that's something he'd do. I mean, he'd ride the subway and he'd, ride the buses and kind of be among the people. And that, and that's, like, I love that shit. Like, and I think more of that ought to, and I realize this is a symbolic thing, but, during this day and age when folks generally just seem to mistrust government and think that all government officials are corrupt, and, you kind of hear people say just with a broad brush that all politicians are corrupt and all politicians are bad, which I think that's, just kind of pausing on that notion of all politicians being corrupt and such. Whenever I hear that shit, and it's the same, kind of goes the same with whenever I hear people say like that both sides, that both sides are corrupt. Like when they like this past election, for instance, like when I would hear, kind of like when I hear people say things like that. No, it is not true that both sides are equally evil. No. What that usually shows me is that person doesn't do their fucking research. That person's just lazy, and they just kind of paint that broad brush because they're unwilling to do the research of actually kind of going through and picking out the bad ones and the good ones. And so they just kind of blindly say with no nothing, with no sense of sort of nuance or, God forbid, facts. They just go out and talk shit on these people. And the way I look at it, and mind you, I'm not trying to kiss ass here to anybody. I'm not trying to say that I'm not trying to be naive here. I mean, we've had some awful. Shit. You don't need to get me started on. Starting with Exhibit A, that's going to be entering the White House in a few short months. Fuck. I mean, to say so, just for an example, just whenever I hear like people sort of like compare Joe Biden to Donald Trump and act like they're like equally corrupt and shit, like to act like they're the same amount of whatever, of big government, big evil government or whatever. Like, fuck, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? Like, if somebody cannot distinguish between the corruption of Donald Trump and whatever maybe imperfections or whatever that Joe Biden had, then we obviously do not live in the same reality, because by golly, if like the worst thing that President Biden had to deal with was his son going through that whole thing, with his drug charges and stuff. Give me a fucking break, that's absurd. That takes some, and honestly, I could really that does a complete disservice to the work, to the genuine like. The way I look at, our political leaders, and I don't think I'm being naive here. I think I'm being like honest here. But like, the average salary for, say, like, for like a member of Congress or some sort of position in that vein. Yeah, I mean, it's one could say it's sort of high, in terms of what salaries we might make, as normal people. But when you compare that against sort of the, if you look at, I guess, at sort of the opportunity cost that these individuals face, in their own individual careers, say of selecting between running for office and perhaps staying in the private sector, like, gosh darn it, I think it's almost universal that it seems that it's almost always the case that the private sector is sort of the more lucrative option. You hear this all the time with, and I remember this is part of Obama's story, when he, when he was, I remember him saying that, at one point he made the choice to be, to go into politics instead of working on Wall Street or something like that, and that's kind of that's sort of a case, you hear that all the time, and so, like, to me, there's a certain level of, I don't like to use this word sacrifice. That's kind of, it's not like that level of I gotta reserve that for something more sacred. But these politicians are not doing it for the money. All right, I can't imagine. To sort of imagine that somebody would go into politics, especially nowadays with all the fucking bullshit, like, with all the playground politics that you have to deal with, trying to run for office and then get something done while you're in office and all that bullshit. Like, why would any rational person choose a lower paying job to have to deal with more bullshit and be in the public face, of it all, and face that much exposure during it all. I mean, no right mind would do that if it was solely about money. That's absurd. So I mean, I tend to sort of, that's kind of why I tend to sort of, to believe a lot of our political leaders when they get up on stage and I tend to try to err on the side of believing them. But of course, time and time again, we do have, people who make us regret that faith, and and here we are, kind of at the precipice of one of those examples, imminently taking office in 2025. But no, I mean, I honestly, dude, I hate when I hear people say that, because it's to me, that's an insult to the good guys, to sort of paint the good guys with the same insults and the same sort of false equivalence of, quote unquote, both sides being bad or both sides being corrupt. No. I mean, neither side is perfect, of course, and you have bad apples on both sides, indeed, but that's about it. I mean, I would go further and say the number and the sort of the preponderance of those bad apples is dramatically different if you compare these so-called sides of ours. So I get annoyed by that so much, that false equivalence thing, because you see that played upon when in the tactics that these dictators use, like they play upon that, for instance, when when Putin, for instance, basically makes up a story about why to invade Ukraine, for instance, and justifies it. It kind of transitions into that whole dynamic of accusing the other side of doing the very thing that you're doing. There has to be a term for that, because god damn it, it's so common that I see that and not just in world affairs and in current events, but just in everyday, in everyday society. There has to be a word for that. If anybody knows it, I'm really curious if there is a term for it, because it's not he said, she said. That's something different. There has to be a term for that, because goddamn, if it's almost cliche to see that type of tactic unfold, and to kind of see it in like the world's, in sort of what we're told are the best, are the brightest stars of our world, our world leaders and such. It's the same basic shit, and the only thing, and goddamn it, like, it's so frustrating when people don't see it, because it's a cliche. It happens like so often, it almost seems to happen over and over and over again, and goddamn it, like, if it's not frustrating, it's just this witness how short of a time it takes for us to forget and to repeat the same goddamn mistake all over again, not even 10 years later, So, anyways, digressing from that soapbox. Where the fuck am I going here? God damn, if I had this awful fucking thing of, oh my lord, where the fuck am I? I forgot where. Oh fuck, I'm supposed to go to. I just remember where I was even going. I was literally on autopilot. And on the subject of autopilot, there we go, pivoting right back around to the topic I was originally talking about, which is rule number 2 of. Okay, no, let me refresh the audience here on what the fuck. Oh, first of all, another tangent. I'm sorry. I appreciate your guys' patience, or alleged patience. You guys are seriously quiet as fuck. I don't understand. Like, do you guys just put me on TV and mute me or something? Are you guys unable to hear me begging for some comments and participation? Or do you guys just all not have keyboards? Or maybe you guys are all driving. You know what? Maybe that is actually, that's actually a pretty rational possibility. Maybe you guys are driving and are just listening to me rant, and then I guess presumably enjoying it, I hope. And I guess you don't want to type things on your phone because you're driving. Okay, I'll that's the only excuse that I will accept for why this thing has been radio silent, except for just me ranting into the void, But nonetheless, here we are in the Columbus Commons. This is a bonus, because I was not planning on going through the Commons, except my oblivious ass almost going too far on the bus and shit. But here we are. We'll just say the Lord has brought us here. How about that? That's a good, look at this, guy. We have the Columbus Commons decked out for the holidays. And then, voila! With the beautiful Christmas tree right in the center, adorning our Columbus Commons, formerly known as the Columbus City Center Mall. Once upon a west yonder. Would you believe this site used to be a mall? Not only that, it used to be sort of, well, it was not a, it was a mall kind of built into the city. It was just more of these types of buildings. I guess 5 or 6, well, not even 5 or 6 stories. I think that City Center Mall was about 3 or 4 stories tall, and used to occupy this land that we're now on, known as the Columbus Commons. Yeah, beautiful night here, and I love the sky. I love the sky with this little hints of light in the air, kind of illuminating those little bit of clouds. It's a beautiful sky, along some beautiful lights. along some beautiful little brats running around. I love this. So I'll continue on with my non-copyright infringing version of "It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you look." Copyright Karen can't take me down for my own singing like she can when I actually try to play the audio direct. So until I get licenses, I guess, or whatever the have you, prevents me from getting Copyright Karen involved in these videos here, taking down my shit because there's kids here. I'm sorry, I gotta watch my language here. I forgot it was Facebook. See, I tricked myself into Facebook After Dark mode, and I told you guys. What did I tell you before about? See, I told you this exact thing would happen, didn't I? Where I would fool myself into thinking we were in Facebook Live After Dark, and where we thought we put away the kids and got the adult beverages out, only to have the kids appear one more time. I told you this would happen. I told you to not get daddy's bong out yet. So, sorry to say I'm right once again. Oh shoot! No, to be fair, I do, especially watching a lot of my old Facebook Live footage, I do curse yeah. There's a lot of these Facebook Live videos where I acknowledge that I use quite some animated curse words. Pardon my French. I love that expression. Pardon my French. It should have been like. Shit, I should have said. I needed to say that expression a lot more when I was living in Quebec. Pardon my French, because my French really was awful. I mean, it was good enough to get me laid, but not good enough to get me a job. Hence why I'm here again. No, that's all. I mean, that's not the only reason, but shoot, that was a big one, though. And God, by golly, nothing says that like trying to work at Hydro-Quebec at a French-speaking, at a government-owned utility from a militantly French-speaking province, and having the nerve to speak my Yankee English in there. Oh, they hated it. I'm sure they hated it, but they didn't say anything. They were polite about it. They knew I was just they knew I was just a silly McGill student, so they had to kind of play. They had to keep Daddy McGill happy, I guess, or. I'm just kidding. Whoever the sugar daddies that run McGill are, my old university. I don't know. I'm sorry. That doesn't even make sense. I apologize. It's probably Hydro-Quebec's probably McGill's sugar daddy in that sense, since they do a lot of collaborative research together, at least in my department of electrical engineering and shit. So, can't really call McGill. I mean, how can you call a university a sugar daddy? I mean, they're famously known for begging for money from people, including you guys and me, like the moment after we graduated, huh? I don't know how many of you guys also got, like, it almost seemed like they would mail, or it almost seemed like they would, you would get the alumni association mail before you'd even get your fucking diploma in the mail. My God, it's like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that is the case. So, I'm pretty sure I do remember, like, getting like these emails from the alumni association. Now that I was graduated from McGill, allegedly, like, asking for money. Like as if I don't have like a heaping mountain of debt and shit. Like I'm gonna give the university more money and not be a student there. No. Nice try, y'all. McGill is really cute when they try to do it. Of course, they try to do it in like their typical kind of Canadian way of being polite and kind of being like, kind of kind of diplomatic about it, but that was, it's the same bullshit as Wright State when they sent me that same fundraising email. Oh, so what can you say? Universities are I don't think in any sort of world of ours is the university the one, hoarding all the cash. And right, nor we want that. I mean that's a good thing that's not the case, I would say. I guess so. Believe it or not, there are institutions that are not just inherently evil and corrupt, but yet are large. So you can't just call every big corporation an evil one, right? That's anyways. Digressing back to the sci-fi topic. No, not that topic. I'm sorry. Here's me wandering around. Where is my ADD police at? Nobody's giving me the ADD alert yet, so I guess you guys are actually, maybe I'm actually doing a satisfactory job of keeping you guys engaged. I'm actually kind of surprised by this, because I'm watching that number up there, girl. I'm watching who joins and leaves this broadcast, and and somehow correlating it to the top, to whatever bullshit's coming out of my mouth, thinking that certain things will drive viewership or repel viewership, but maybe not. I don't know how these things work. I guess one thing I have noticed, and which I guess is obvious now that upon second thought, is just that it's nice to have more than 0 viewers. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for actually kind of listening to this. And I'm hoping you're listening to it with a spirit of engagement, and not just having it play in the background while you jerk off. Or whatever. I hope you guys are actually engaging in pondering about the content I'm talking about. One likes to think. But if not, hell, if you're just watching this because you think I'm hot or whatever and want me to take my clothes off and have no cares whatsoever about the actual substance of the matter, then as much as that makes me sad to think about it like that, I'll take it. So shit. Thank you guys. And shoot, I don't know if I really acknowledged this on the last broadcast or not, but with Thanksgiving having just passed, and kind of with, I have to say, I do want to sort of pay special acknowledgement to the individuals. I had sort of, I guess, lamented about being, it almost seems like every year now that I do this, but just about being alone on Thanksgiving and not having family and shit, and blah blah blah, and coupled with my particular situation this year around with being on tour / on the streets of Columbus. No, but I do appreciate the guys. Man, it was really, honestly, it was really heartwarming to see the response, to see your guys' comments on that particular post. And I sincerely mean it, and just reflecting on that and kind of doing so in the context of being grateful and expressing gratitude and being thanks. No, I genuinely, I'm grateful for you guys. And I know this is Facebook, and I know we're limited by how impersonal and how sort of how there's always that kind of factor of seeming like Facebook kind of takes good intention content and kind of warping it into some clickbait driven bullshit. But no, this is it really felt genuine. It was nice to kind of open up a comments thread on anything on the internet and see all positive shit. And because that's one of sort of my sort of recurring topics about the internet and about Facebook and social media is that, and you guys are, I think back to sort of one of my posts. I talk about humility and active listening, and sort of how the internet has made us lose touch with ourselves in that art. So no, honestly, thank you, and thank you for reminding me that we're human and that we're good people and that we're not just, thank you for just not wanting to start a fucking fight all the fucking time. That's really appreciated, and especially I think in light of this election where all you would see is just people going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and getting to the point where where they would forget what they were even arguing about in the first place. I think even, to the point where you're just clearly arguing for the sake of wanting to pick a fight. And it's it was really nice to see that genuine spirit of kindness, and I appreciate that, guys. So honestly, thank you. without rambling too much further into that, honestly, thank you. So back onto the topic though of oh god, I feel like I've push pinned like 2 or 3 topics by now that I have to go back and revisit. But I'm gonna sort of focus on the one I was talking about, automation, autopilots and such. So in my earlier broadcast, the frustrated as fuck electrical engineer in me was sort of just lambasting the sort of the automation systems that I'm seeing here, and even just not even getting into the sophistication of automation, but just simple things like an on and off switch on a TV, like just the absurdity of the off state on a lot of televisions out there being indicated by the red light being on, and then when the red light's not on, the television being on. Like, I don't understand. Okay, and I think I left you guys with a question of, I think on the bus earlier, of why that would be the case. And I've thought of an answer. I've thought of an acceptable rationale here, of why one would design a television, for instance, with a red light that is on when the unit's off and off when the unit's on. And I think, and perhaps it is this. Perhaps such that, because when the television's off, and it's, if say it's in your bedroom or something, it's likely that it's going to be dark in the room, right? And so I guess they offer the red light as a sort of, not as an indicator of the television state of, on or off, but rather as an aid to show you to show you where the position of the button is, all right, in what is assumed to be a dark room. All right, so that's sort of the only rationale that I can think of as to why you'd have a convention in which in which on means off and off means on, as far as the indicator light goes. So that's that was sort of the rationale that I had thought of, and yeah, I mean, I could see that, but see, to me, if your purpose is to like guide the user to the power button, it just seems like there's better ways to do that, I guess, than that way, than sort of the ambiguousness of not being sure whether the light meaning on is meaning that the TV's on, or that type of ambiguity. I mean, honestly, it's the type of shit that gets people killed sometimes. Like, and it's kind of funny because I'm saying this, and I'm thinking back to my, I'm thinking of like in my work in the utility business, and I shit you not, like, when I, when you sort of traverse multiple utility companies like I have in my life, not only just in my own career, but also as a researcher, kind of comparing and contrasting different companies' way of doing things. It's funny to me that that you honestly there are cases in which you'll have 2 utilities right next to each other, adjacent to each other, with perhaps like even shared equipment and shit. And I shit you not, when you see a green light versus a red light, and you guys can relate to this because of traffic lights, right? Green means go conventionally, red means stop. So applying that notion to the to the concept of electricity, and back to this whole switch thing of being on or off. If you see a green indicator light on a board, say on a panel or something, say you have 2 lights, okay? One's green, one's red, and you get the green light. What do you think that green light would mean? Do you think green means that the circuit is? Do you think it's on, or do you think green means off? Let me pose that question to you guys. And I know you guys aren't going to answer, so I won't waste my time waiting for the responses here. But like, even that basic thing of a switch being on or off, like you'll literally have 2 utilities sharing the same control room sometimes, where they have completely opposite conventions of that, where literally one utility uses green to indicate on, and the other utility uses green to mean off. Something's wrong with that, okay? Shit. You don't have to have an electrical engineering degree to see that that's a hazard, honey. That's a disaster waiting to happen. When some poor some poor crew member, thinking that the circuit's dead, electrocutes himself and fries himself to death and dies on your job site. That's like, to think that something so simple, like the color of an indicator light, or an indicator light, and how that could potentially kill somebody. That's why we get paid the money we do as an engineer, to never allow things like that to occur. And it's not just the engineer's job. It's everyone's job. Like, that to me is absurd. And when those types of things are encountered, it's my job to to make to get rid of that, to not allow that situation to ever occur on our watch. And so yeah, it's one of the. If you're looking for some insight into the types of work I do, I mean, that's one example right there of having to basically scold a utility company and get them to completely change the colors. Of course, in that situation, you get into the fight of who's going to change their colors, because obviously one of them has to budge, and that's when you get into the big dick contest. That you get into the whole political bullshit of, well, you should change it because and that's when I check out of the conversation and let the executives dish it out for them. That one, I don't get paid enough to deal with that shit. I just tell them what's wrong, and hopefully they give me some money to fix it. Right? That's all I can do. Anyways, I was expressing that in the context of the 3 cardinal rules of any electrical device that is on the market. Okay, these are my 3 commandments for anything with electrons flowing in it. Number 1 is I sort of harked to death here. I need to know when the unit's on, and I need to know when the unit's off, clearly and unambiguously, as I've made unambiguously clear. Number 2, with regards to automation and autopilots, there must be a way, there shall be a way to easily turn the damn thing off. In the case of an automobile with autopilot features, there needs to be a big red button telling me how to shut everything off and go to all manual control. And one does not appreciate that until you're in a Boeing 737 trying to take off with the pilot fighting against the autopilot, which is trying to tilt the nose downward while you're taking off. Which, again, I'm not a pilot or an aeronautical engineer, but pointing the nose downward towards the ground when you're taking off seems like a terrible idea, right? I think we can agree on that. I hope. But yeah, so. Anyways, that having been said, before the plane gets to the 90-degree nose down face, impacting the earth at 90 degrees position, that poor pilot needs to have that big red button in front of him to turn the thing off before that happens, before that's about to happen. And my God, I'm not, nothing, very few things outrage me, sort of in the engineering world, if you will, than watching that documentary about, just seeing kind of what had happened at Boeing with that whole Boeing 737 MAX debacle. Shebacle, I will say. That's a shebacle, because I'm pretty sure, first of all, a shebacle is a debacle that just keeps on going without any end in sight. And in this case, I'm pretty sure that the initial problem here has not yet been fixed to this day still. So, and that's why when I turn on the news and see that Boeing's on the verge of bankruptcy, even though they're one of America's most admired companies, and they're honestly a pillar of our modern economy, and without Boeing, they're a strategic advantage that we have just in our foreign, our national security even. Nonetheless, I have no remorse if Boeing goes bankrupt for that, because that is a sin. To me, that is sort of like an unrevocable sin. Especially when, I'm not going to go on, because I'm going to put a push bit on that and save my rage for another day on that one. I'll just invite you guys to check out that Frontline documentary, because it's hard to watch it and not just get pissed the fuck off, no matter what expertise you have. I mean, anybody who has the interest of flying in a plane and getting and landing at your airport safely, I think, will find a lot of problems watching this. Oof. Digressing. So anyways, yes, that's rule number 2. There shall be an off button right the fuck in front of you, the user, in a place where the user can reach it. And in the case of an airplane, I mean, you have to consider that with all the, with the airplane flying around in some erratic fashion, and God knows what G-forces that poor pilot's subject to. And I mean, you have to, shit. I mean, in this case, you better damn well make sure that thing was practically on the pilot's chest or something, somewhere, because you can only imagine what's going on in that cockpit in terms of physics, as that plane is plummeting nose down to the fucking oblivion below. I mean, golly, yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's really hard to picture. That's a difficult thing to really imagine. Anyways, that's rule number 2. And and then the homework assignment was to give me rule number 3. That was. So I've gotten no responses back yet. Let me check the comments here. Wow, you guys are really not. Oh, I just kind of wonder, like. Oh, anyways, I guess you guys. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know. It feels odd to me that nobody's chimed in yet with anything, and I can't. I don't know. That causes me to question larger things about this broadcast, like whether you guys can even hear what the fuck I'm saying at all in the first place, which I'm hoping you can. It would be funny though if I. No, that's impossible to believe that you guys would be engaged this long without me, without hearing my voice. No, that would be a thing. Anyways, rule number 3 here. Shit, I spent so much time harking on rules number 1 and 2. I gotta make sure I. What the fuck is rule number 3? Huh? Yeah, I got it. I stumped myself on my own quiz here, huh? Love it. Let's see. Rule number 1 is thou shalt have an indicator light of. The human must know whether you're on or off if you're a machine. Second of all, you have to have an off switch if you're a machine. What's rule number 3? Shit, I'm thinking about this. Oh fuck, I don't know. Shit, I can't even focus on where the fuck I'm going here. I'm still trying to remember where the fuck I was trying to get to in the first place. I was trying to get to my friend Howard's place, but I was gonna grab something to eat on the way. I totally passed Popeyes, and oh my god, I just realized. Oh my god, fuck me. That'd be the only funnier thing than forgetting about my Popeyes chicken is forgetting that this thing was recording after I thought I had signed off the broadcast, which would be really ironic because that would be the exact thing that rule number 1 was meant to prevent. All right. Anyways, bye. I need some Popeyes chicken, so that needs to happen fast now because I'm pissed and Mama's gonna be hungry. And yes, I do not want to be in that room when Mama's asking where her chicken is. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else, and make sure to take care of your Popeyes when you've ordered it and forgotten that it's there and it's on the other side of town. Bye.